Socialism experiments in blue cities aren't exactly going very well. Take Seattle's new socialist mayor, Katie Wilson, for example. She's got a lengthy list of free things that she would like to hand out, and she's not sorry to rich taxpayers who are fleeing because they and their businesses don't want to have to pay for them. Watch.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like, bye.
All right, so all over New York City, with the city facing a $6 billion budget deficit for fiscal year 2026, Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani is already begging for cash to pay for his wish list so that he can just make the budget for starters. Watch.
New York City faces a budget crisis of a historic magnitude. We inherited a deficit larger than any since the Great Recession. We cannot close this deficit with savings alone. We need new revenue, and we need a structural reset in our relationship with the state. That is the only way to meet our legal obligation to pass a balanced budget.
I mean, running a business is tough, and that's basically what he's doing, Kaylee, in trying to run New York City. He had all of these ideas about all this free stuff, free buses, free childcare. Now he's scolding Ken Griffin, who, for having this big fancy penthouse, and it's blowing up. It's really blowing up on him. And it really makes some of these socialist leaders just look like they didn't pay attention in school about how the economy works, that you need companies, you need philanthropy, you need all of this stuff. What do you make of, actually, let's start with the Seattle mayor and her laughing after all of these businesses have already left Seattle. They've already moved out.
Laugh as you run your city into absolute oblivion. Ken Griffin came back at Mamdani brilliantly, and there was a letter sent by the COO to the employees, and he laid out the facts. So maybe the Seattle mayor, maybe Mamdani missed the economics lessons, but they probably heard loud and clear when Ken Griffin put together this letter and said, I have a $6 billion project ready to come into New York on Park Avenue. That would mean $6,000 highly paid construction jobs for Manhattan, 15,000 permanent jobs. I assume Mamdani would like that. Wouldn't you like that, all you socialist constituents, more jobs? Oh, wait, and on top of that, Citadel, they have 2,500 employees. Guess how many dollars they've committed to New York City? $2.3 billion in taxes have been paid to New York City because of Citadel. That's Ken Griffin's company. And then finally, I'd just say this. He donated $650 million in charitable gifts. His employees, 200 of them, sit on charitable boards. This is what companies do for cities. And I think Mamdani might have woken up and realized that, because days after his dust-up with Ken Griffin, he had to stand in front of New York and say, I also want to thank Ken Griffin for funding a memorial wall that will open later this year. It was a memorial wall for fallen officers. That is what business contributes to society. And Mamdani, I think, has woken up and realized it, at least in part, having to issue, I'm going to call that an apology. It's not an apology, but it's an acknowledgement.
So, Jessica, you look at the philanthropic side of this, which we heard Kathy Hochul say, please come back after chasing all of these people out of New York. I love that Mayor Mamdani is saying we need to recalibrate the relationship between the city and the state. In other words, I need way more than you've already offered me to bail me out here. And let's just forget about the rural people who live in upstate New York.
Well, and Kathy Hochul's not having it. I mean, Kathy Hochul has her own reelection to think about. Right. She has totally turned around her campaign, and she's not going to be driving more wealthy New Yorkers out of the city for sure. On the philanthropic front, everything, I don't want to say everything that is great about New York, but when you go to any amazing cultural institution, there is a billionaire's name on the wall. Every hospital, I mean, we lead the world in medicine and medical treatments, and Tisch, Langone, all of it. Those are really rich dudes who love it here and wanted to give back to those communities. We have to preserve that. Doesn't mean you can't pay your fair share, blah, blah, blah. But beyond the fair share is excessive. The one thing that I wanted to say is there is never any discussion about the biggest line item in the New York City budget, and that's education. It is untouchable in all of this. And there was an Atlantic piece about what's going on in our public school systems, which I feel very seriously about. So New York City spends more per pupil than the other 100 biggest districts, over $40,000 per year for each pupil, and has, at best, average outcomes. Majority of that goes to teachers who are not even earning, when you comp it for cost of living, more than if you were in Los Angeles or Miami or Dallas, other big cities. find out what's going on in there. And I think that parents and maybe some teachers, I know the unions are very powerful and protective, but they would thank you if you found out how this is such a money pit and that we're not even getting stellar outcomes for it.
There again, I mean, it's the private institutions who are doing a way better job. Look at the Catholic schools. They spend about $12,000 per student, and they have way better outcome. And they're practically free for the students that go there. So, you know, that analysis, the idea that $40,000 is going to make your kids smarter, we've learned this lesson in a very big way. It absolutely doesn't work that way. Jesse, as you look at this, and, you know, I thought it was very interesting, just by the way, that Mayor Mamdani was like barely visible when King Charles was here yesterday. They matched him up with Bloomberg on the pretense that he created the 9/11 museum. Like, well, why don't you guys walk all around together? Because it obviously wasn't going to work to have Mamdani next to him.
So he made this big show that he was going to demand this precious diamond back that's in the crown jewel, and he never even brought it up. I don't care what he says. The state dinner Greg and I were at probably the second richest room ever besides the inauguration. We were the poorest ones in there.
Not including Epstein Island.
A lot of billionaires, which we haven't gone to. A lot of billionaires. Now, these billionaires were not like fat, cigar chomping, you know, breaking up union strikes kind of thugs. A lot of the guys were short and slight and pale and shy. You would agree. You know, polite, shy, just hanging out. A lot of them love the environment. They're not monopolists. They have created a product or a company that is loved and needed by the entire world. And they worked really hard to do that. And they were fortunate enough to be compensated very well. Some of them still use child labor, but that's overseas. It doesn't even count. But they have strategically raised families and grown businesses in a place like Washington State because there's no state income taxes. So to have a woman like that who's done nothing in her life and still lives with her parents just dismissively just blow them off like they don't even matter, it's so disrespectful and dumb that I'm beginning to think she's probably Canadian because that's not how normal people in the United States talk. We've always really been impressed with success. We've always wanted to emulate that kind of thing. But the way that she talks about them, she doesn't understand that when Bezos moved from Washington to Florida, it cost Washington $1 billion in tax revenue. Just in 2024 alone, he sold 50 million shares in Amazon. He saved $600 million, okay? Don't you want a guy like that to spend in Washington? He's spending as much as like a small city. And it's philanthropy. It's when he builds his new yacht, redoes his home. I mean, this guy is throwing money around, construction, development. Why don't you want him there? Why would you chase him away? I swear to God, this woman's Canadian.
Greg, you know, it strikes me when you look at these youngish leaders. I mean, first of all, anyone who's over 40 and thinks that it makes them relatable, that their parents are still helping them to pay for their stuff, I think is bizarre. But, you know, it goes back to the education thing, I think. I think these people were not well educated. I don't think that they had a civic understanding, economic understanding, and now they're in control of these cities.
You know, the thing about Mamdani, you have to remember, he is the mayor of New York City. New York City is a mess. Who do you blame? There are no Republicans. So what are they doing? They can't just point to those other guys like, oh, it's their fault. He's essentially a single parent with a drug problem. You can't blame the woman who left you. You're the one who's got this issue. So who do they blame? Who do you blame? They turn to the citizens. They turn to the voters, the rich Democrats. I don't know any rich Republicans that even voted in this election in New York. So they're actually, I was going to use a metaphor that involved violence, but I won't. He's actually setting his sights on somebody to blame, and it's the rich people. Now, the Seattle mayor, this is a person who has never gotten a mortgage, signed a rental agreement, managed a budget. She's been financed by her parents, a luxury enjoyed by many of these, what would you call socialists, socialite socialists. you know, like Mamdani, Hassan. They live these pampered lives while they inflict the hardship of their beliefs on others who don't have a wealthy mommy or daddy there to keep them out of trouble. This is why she has no, okay, when you look at that face, what you see there is the warm embrace of ignorance. The less you know about how things work, whether it's incentives or trade-offs or human behavior, the easier it is to spout terrible ideas. It's a refusal to understand as a method of political preservation. She can destroy an economy without hesitation just because she doesn't know what she doesn't know. And it's that easy. And it's like, if she learned 5% about how an economy works, why people are fleeing, her entire worldview would crumble. It's just better to live at home and, you know, watch something that somebody like that watches.
What do they watch, Greg?
It's like the Cats of Beverly Hills. I don't know.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.